welcome to Dayna's Do's and Don'ts for today's Dentrix teams. And my do's and don'ts correlates with my monthly newsletter. And so if you're not getting my monthly newsletter, please click on the link in the show notes so you can make sure it ends up in your inbox every month. And so at the time of this recording, we are talking all about annual planning. So my do's and don'ts for this month is all about annual planning. At the time of this recording, we are at the tail end of July. Today is actually July 31st, and at the time of this recording, you have already booked all of January for your hygiene department, okay? So you're already a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to annual planning. So my do for this month is do prepare ahead of time for your annual planning session, okay? I want you to treat your annual planning session like a yearly holiday, okay? All right? It's like your birthday. You put your birthday on the calendar, you celebrate your birthday every year, okay? It's as special, as important as a yearly holiday. So your do is do put it on your calendar every single year, all right? So if you don't have your annual planning session on the calendar yet, plan out a date, and it is a required event for your entire team. So if you're watching this now, okay, let's get your annual planning session on your calendar within the next 30 days. If you say you land on this video and it's March, okay, then let's get your annual planning session on your calendar, maybe tail end of June, first part of July would be really great, all right? Now, that's your do. Your don't is don't wait until November or December. I know a lot of offices are like, you know, it's the middle of summer. I'm in vacation. I'm having fun camping. You know, I can't even think about annual planning in the middle of summer. Well, if you wait until November or December, you're going to be way behind the 8 ball. All right. And then you're going to be scrambling to maybe fix some things in your schedule. So those are your do's and don'ts for annual planning. Now, if you can stick with me for about the next 5 minutes or so, I want to dive in a little bit, since I have your ear, I want to dive in a little bit more with my in connection with the conversation I had with Claire last week on our podcast, all right? So one thing that Claire talked about as kind of these foundational elements with annual planning that really has kind of stuck with me over the last week or so is having your historical data ready and prepared for your annual planning session. So I wanted to just take 5 more minutes of your time. Just listen in. I'm going to tell you the top 5 numbers that you want to have ready for your annual planning session. And these are also the top 5 numbers that I have all my practices tracking, monitoring, using these numbers to help your systems work seamlessly in your practice. So top 5 numbers. All these numbers can also be found on the Practice Advisor report, which is embedded right into your Dentrix software. Number 1, net production per day. All right. I know that you love looking at gross production because it looks great. All right. But you can't put gross production in the bank. Net production is collectible. So make sure that you are tracking net production per day. That's really important. Number 2, accounts receivable. Probably the 2 most important things about accounts receivable. Number 1, the accounts receivable ratio, which is the percentage or the ratio between your accounts receivable and your monthly production. So also, I think the number 1 most important thing you need to be monitoring and watching very closely is your accounts receivable over 90 days. Now, if you have an accounts receivable percentage over 15%, that's over 90 days past due, you and I need to talk, all right? So you need to schedule a little call with me so we can talk about what we can do about improving your accounts receivable system. All right, number 3, new patients. And if you are looking ahead next year in your annual planning and you're like, well, we're going to be doing a remodel, we're going to be adding more chairs, Or maybe just the opposite. Maybe you have a doctor or a hygienist that's going out on maternity leave or taking a leave of absence, or maybe you have a hygienist that's going to be, moving out of state, and you have to maybe drop back on your new patients a little bit. So new patient tracking is also really important, because either you're going to be in a growth stage or you're going to be at a maintenance stage. So new patients is also really important. Number 4 kind of goes along with that, is your patient retention. Now, every practice has a natural attrition rate, because patients either move or they die, and every office has natural attrition. So it's really important that you're tracking your patient retention. My goal is I want all my practices patient retention to be above 85%. I have some offices that have 94, 95% patient retention, which is amazing. So if your patient retention is below 80%, okay, again, we need to have a conversation so we can improve your patient retention numbers. Number 5 is your case acceptance. So this is the percentage amount of the diagnosed compared to the treatment that's been completed or scheduled, okay? So case acceptance is that patients have either scheduled it or they've given you a deposit so that they are committed to scheduling that treatment. All 5 of those numbers can be found on the Practice Advisor Report. Now, I have an action plan for the Practice Advisor Report. You can also click on the Give Me the Free Download in the show notes. So you can click on the free download. You'll get an action plan for how that Practice Advisor can help you look at your historical data to be better prepared for your annual planning session. All right. So do prepare, have it on your calendar. Your annual planning session is like a yearly holiday. So get it on your calendar. Don't wait until November or December. All right. All right, my friends. Have a great rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you next month.